Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me at the back? Can you show me a thumbs up if you can hear me at the back? पीछे से सुनाई दे रहा है? नहीं? हेलो? अभी ठीक है? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to welcome all of you to the Somaiya public lecture in Dharma Studies today. But before we begin, I'd like to invite our guests to please come on stage. Our Vice Chancellor couldn't be here. He just wrote a note saying he had to travel somewhere. But representing him would be our Dean of Academics, Professor Narayan Khetkar. Please. Professor Pallavi is on her way. And I'd like to invite Professor Veena Howard to please come on stage. And our dear student Vaishnavi to begin today's event by leading the campus prayer.
Hello, I kindly request everyone present to stand for the campus prayer. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om ईशावास्यमिदं सर्वं यत्किञ्च जगत्यां जगत् तेन त्यक्तेन भुञ्जीथा मा गृधः कस्य स्विद्धनं मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् ॐ प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामविद्रवतु ॐ चोदयित्री सुङ्गृतानां चेतन्ती सुमतीनां यज्ञं दधे सरस्वती ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीरं करवावहै तेजस्विनामधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ सर्वेऽत्र सुखिनः सन्तु सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः
Thank you, Vaishnavi. That was such a mellifluous voice. Thank you. I wanted to begin today afternoon's program by sharing a disclaimer, which is The biography of Professor Veena Howard that I'm going to read out is very short, but she is way more accomplished than what I can describe here. And so I encourage you to go online, look up her books, and if at some point you like her to be one of your external co-guides, we can make that happen at Somaiya Vidya Vihar University. Professor Veena Howard is a professor of Asian religious traditions in the Department of Philosophy at California State University in Fresno. She also holds the endowed chair in Jain and Hindu Dharma and serves as the director of the M.K. Gandhi Center, Inner Peace and Sarvodaya. Her publications include the books Gandhi's Global Legacy, Moral Methods and Moral Challenges from Lexington in 2023, the Bloomsbury Research Handbook of Indian Philosophy and Gender, Bloomsbury 2019, Dharma, Hindu, Jain, Buddhist and Sikh Traditions of India, IB Taurus 2017, and Gandhi's Ascetic Activism, Renunciation and Social Action from SUNY Press 2013. She has also authored over 36 peer-reviewed articles, including The Nonviolence Conundrum, Political Peace and Personal Karma in Jain and Hindu Traditions, Nonviolence as Love in Action in James Lawson's Transforming the Promise of Jesus' Love into a Practical Force for Change, Practical Matters Journal, a journal of religious practices and practical theology from Emory in 2020, as well as numerous other articles, and I'm not going to give you a laundry list. And she has served on many boards, including the Board of Trustees of the Parliament of the World's Religions. And Professor Howard is here on a Fulbright Nehru grant, and she's also a TEDx speaker. What's not mentioned here is that she chairs the Dharma Academy of North America, which is on its 25th or 23rd year. And I serve on the board, and that's how we connected. And as we got speaking, and she'll speak more about it today, we found common passion in dharmic leadership. And that's one theme that we want to reflect on today. But before we begin, we'd like to invite you to light the lamp, and then we will begin with our lecture today afternoon. Thank you. So we invite Professor Howard to come and start her talk.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hope you can hear me in the back. Yes? So the topic of dharma and dharma dilemma, is it coming up? जनरल था पहले.
हाँ वही मैं बोल रहा हूँ।
That's it. Start from the beginning. Not play from the beginning. Just from the beginning. Present slideshow. From start, from beginning. Yeah. Eh, Now we are in business. Technology, right? So the topic dharma dilemma may give an impression that this is something new in the modern world, that we are grappling with the issue of dharma. But little did we know, many of us may not know, that dharma dilemma or the confusion about dharma, the problems about dharma have been going on for thousands of years. The people have been grappling, the scholars, the thinkers, the Vidwans have been grappling with the issue of dharma. So first I want to thank the Somaiya Vidya Vihar University for inviting me here all the way from wherever I am going right now, many, many places. And also I want to thank my friend, colleague, dean, professor, doctor. I was told you have to say all those things. Otherwise, the Indians don't like it. So I'm learning. Abhishek Ghoshji and all of the team who made it work. So thank you so much. I would ask your attention for the next 35 minutes or so. Then I'll ask you all questions. So back there, students, be ready. I'm going to ask you questions, right? Or you will ask me questions. So we'll have an interactive session. It's not that I'm professing anything. We are going to learn together. I'm always nervous in speaking in India. When I would give talks in India, I'm very nervous. America, I can do it because they don't know what about dharma is. I can do whatever. But here, there are so many scholars, so many vidwans, so many thinkers who know Sanskrit, Prakrit, all these languages. So it's better. So you please forgive me before I start. And I hope it will be a very interactive session. So I want to start always with my personal experiences and where I come from. Someone asked me other day, oh, you speak really good Hindi. I said, I hope so, because I was born in this country. So I'm not, I have American citizenship, but I'm not from that world. I am from this world. And so it's good to know our roots. And the roots are that my parents are from then Pakistan, now Pakistan, then United Bharat. And they walked from many, many kilometers before settling in Uttar Pradesh. And I was born in Uttar Pradesh, a little town, Muradabad. And I think many of you probably know, oh, Muradabad, because not many people go from Muradabad, some say, to abroad and study. But I happen to be, the stroke of luck or destiny or divine grace or whatever might be that I could learn in both cultures, both worlds, I would say. So what happened so far, as I teach, I study, I live, I have greater appreciation for Indian systems. And nowadays, I was talking to some colleagues that Indian knowledge systems is such a great, so exciting idea, that how can we really bring that knowledge forward to the forefront, and we can learn and teach the world and people around us. So I think it's a very, very exciting idea. So when I was growing up, then religion and spirituality were everywhere, like we see in India today also. When you see the daily greetings, Radhe Radhe, Jai Sitaram, whatever, may God be with you, all kinds of greetings we won't see that in the West, that religious greetings. They say, hi, howdy, how are you? That kind of thing. Not using the religious ideas in the greetings. And then we see our religion in the street shrines. And even today's world, everywhere you go, there are street shrines where you can see, little deities are around. Then in the Muslim call to prayer, where our family was, there were primarily Muslims around. And 4 o'clock, 4:15, the call to prayer was my alarm clock. And I didn't have alarm clock, so I'd say, okay, this is the time to study. So I was raised in that context, in the singing of hymns in Gurdwara. So my family is Sikh Hindu. So that I began to learn now. At that time, we were just doing dharma, doing religion. We didn't have those categories. And we went to Gurdwaras a lot. So I loved listening to Guru Granth Sahib's hymns, and the Bani was so beautiful. And one of our neighbors were Jain, and auntie fasted. So I saw all this I'm processing now. Back then, I was just living my life and growing up. And then you see the sadhu will knock at your door and say, hey, give me some food, and I'll bless you. So now I see what was going on that time, and the bells of church and temples. So the religion and spirituality was saturated in our culture. As you saw today, here there's a Vaishnavi center, such a beautiful hymns. What is that? Nowhere in the world people are doing that. You start an academic talk with such a beautiful hymns. And then what we do with Saraswati Mata's, we do light the lamp. And look at the food. I don't know when we're going to eat that. You all have to help, right? Food will never be on the table, ever, on a scholarly conference. Or so, hospitality. So it's like you see the lived dharma around us, in us, what we do, how we live, how we function. That's everywhere. So then when I was talk about dharma, so I've been thinking about this term for a while. That time I understood as duty. Dharma karo, apna do your dharma. Apna dharma karte jao, dekho kya hota hai. You know, that's what we were told, do dharma, the duty. And then we were reading the Ramcharitamānasa, the Mahabharata stories, and stories of Guru Nanak when he was serving the poor and needy. And the obligation, that was a lot of lot of thought provided into the dharma as an obligation. Oh, we have to do this because it is dharma. We must do this because it is our dharma. So there was a mustness about dharma. Sometimes it was not just simply joyfully I do it. It was dharma that we must do it. And doing the right thing, no matter what happens. And the stories of Ramayana, the stories of different characters in the Mahabharata were told that we must do the right thing. And of course, following a moral life. The don't lie, don't steal, don't do all wrong things that we can live a life of morality. So, when I went to the United States, I was a student, and South Carolina, which is primarily a lot of African Americans, very religious, Baptist, a lot of Christian, black Christianity. And someone asked me, what is your religion? I was quiet. Why was I quiet? I didn't know what my religion was, because I didn't think about religion in a way that the West thinks about religion. Should I say, oh, I'm a Hindu and Sikh also, and I go to, I read Dhammapada, and I go to Jain temple, and I go everywhere, What should I say? What is my answer? What's my religion? And now we have, after 30 years, people know how to speak about it. But then I was pretty naive. I was not doing religious studies. I was not in a particularly close religion, come from a family. So what is my religion? That really got me thinking. When I say, this is my religion, so then I say, I'm not a Sikh, I'm not a Buddhist, I'm not a Jain, I am this. So it's negating the other. That was a problem for me. So I gave a talk at an interfaith conference. I say, a Hindu's view of Hinduism. What does it mean to me, to a Hindu, to be a Hindu dharma? So that was very beginning of my thought processes. And these are the places many places I lived in the United States as well. Right now in the Central Valley in California, in Fresno. And many places I live, I was minority. There were not very many Indians, very hardly any. So I was always in the interfaith conferences, token Hindu, token Buddhist, token Jain, everything was all things India. I was there. And I did go because I did want to talk about our religions. So the idea is how to answer this question. What is my religion? So you'll see where I'm going, the idea of dharma and religion. Are they the same? Are they different? What are the similarities? Then I began to read, and there was not much material available to teach. So my classes, I'll spend 2 or 3 classes just explaining what Hinduism is not, rather than what Hinduism is. So it's a lot of thinking went, but then people said, give me something to read. I didn't have any material. So then I see this art. What does this art come from? Anybody? Tattoos, right? The body canvas. What the words are, tapas and om and moksha and karma and dharma. And one time, one student comes with this huge Durga hymn on his big arms in Sanskrit. And he goes, Professor Howard, can you please tell me what it says? I said, why did you have it on your arm? He goes, because it is cool. I mean, whole full Sanskrit. I mean, it took painful hours to get that tattooed. And this is Adam Levine, who is a Maroon 5, if the students know. He's a famous band guy, and he has a big bare chest, tapas. Everything, almost anti-tapas, what is tapas is. So it's fascinating to see the fascination for the Indian language and traditions. And then when I came to study and did my PhD in religious studies, and how do I teach students what dharma is? And then the Dharma Association North America, and they said, why don't we write a book? So then I wrote this edited volume, and I invited the scholars from Jain, Buddhist, and Sikh traditions, and we worked together to write this book. So what I do now, so when we look at dharma, I go to the root worm. It's multifaceted. We cannot explain what dharma is. So dharma is derived, as we know, root tra, meaning to maintain, hold, support. So there is no English equivalent. There's no one English word that can tell what dharma is. Hence, there are dictionary, if you look at the dictionary definition, duty, law, truth, virtue, ethics, religion, path, nature, etc. And then we go to Buddhist philosophy, and you go to Jain philosophy, you go to Sikh tradition. It's a different way that dharma is, But there is very, very similar. There is something similar parallel going on there. So I always go back to this, the idea of what holds us, what supports us, right? We want to be supported, unless we will be wobbled off. We'll fall down. We will shake. Our bodies will shake. Our minds will going all over the place. We want some force to ground us, right? So I think that's the one idea I will argue today. Dharma is the center of Indian civilization. Dharma is the force of Indian civilization. We can all approach it differently, but it comes to, it is the whole together, maintained together. Let it be society, let it be our ways of being in the family. It is the one principle that has guided us. So the question arises, is dharma religion? Yes or no? If it is yes, but we are now teaching in the Western Academy. Then I say, well, no, we will call this, and this was, I'm talking about 25 years ago. Now we are talking about dharmic tradition. You have a dharma studies program here. I never seen a program like this, so exciting. So is dharma religion? So I want to share with you some, always do my talks, not just simply what I say, ground in the scholarly writings. So this is Harjot Oberoi. He got in trouble for saying a lot of things, writing this book from his own community at times. And he said, it is not without reason that Indian languages do not possess a noun for religion. as signifying uniform and centralized community of believers. If the work carried out in linguistic cognition is correct, the absence of such term is most revealing. It's just, you have to think about, Indians have a huge vocabulary. Sanskrit has a huge vocabulary. Why did you miss a word for religion? The way we see in the West, because we don't have that category. How can we have the term when you don't have the conception, right? The language comes from our thought processes. And then he says, from the time of the so-called Spar-Wolf hypothesis, who is a linguist, it has been widely acknowledged that language plays a pivotal role in our construction of reality and the way we act on the reality. So does the language comes first or the concepts come first? So if you go to Eskimos, they have 100 names for snow because they live in the snow country, right? And we, India, imagine millions of deities. Why? Why didn't we imagine just one God? What is going on here? So I was thinking all this as I was studying it. And I was teaching and struggling with teaching our students what does it mean to be, what it means dharma, is it religion or not? So the categories are very important. So religion is one religion at a time. So my answer would have been, what is your religion? I don't know what would have been, because I was raised in both Hindu and Sikh traditions. Should I have said Hindu, Sikh? We go, what? What do you mean by two religions? How can you have two religions? I said, I can have more than two. How about that? Like you can have more saris, I can have more religions. But I'm not talking about the religion the way they see it. That's the problem, right? The way the Western world sees it. Exclusive truth claims that is the only way to get to the truth. Rooted in generally, I said, mark my word, generally, not always, so be careful. I'm a scholar, so I want to speak correctly. And revelation in history. Always historical times that you go. And centrally institutionalized. Not just, we have institutions, many of them. I'm a Vaishnava, I'm a Shaiva, but not a one central, we say, we all go to, Hindus goes to this one institution. Division of sacred and secular. And now you see dharma categories, shared sacred spaces and symbols. When there are many, many Hindu temples have Lord Mahaviras, they have Buddhas, and Buddha is the 10th incarnation for some. You know, Guru Nanak is worshipped. So it's all kinds of ways the religiosity happens. Inclusive truth claims, many teachings, stories of eternity, beyond time, forget about time, it's beyond time. Things are happening. Okay, how do we talk about that? And diversity of centers and institutions, and secular is sacred. So there is no divide of sacred and secular. Every day is everything we do, every breath we take, we can be sacred, can be part of it. So this is, I am creating in my book, my introduction, which is 37-page long. And it's read, even though people may not buy a book, they copy that the introduction and share in their classes, and which is, I don't care. So it's good, and I care that they're reading it. So since I teach Indian religions, so when we were creating this Jain and Hindu endowed chair, I insisted that we should call it Jain and Hindu Dharma. Even though when I came to Fresno State over 10 years ago, when I said the word dharma, somebody said, who? Not what, who? Then I explained. And now our dean, our president, they use the term dharma. That dharma is the way to go. Dharma is the way that we connect with the society. So it's a lot of change that happens when we do with love and persistence. So dharma is the center of the Indic wisdom. That's why I say. It's not there are many spokes like dharma wheel, right? If you look at, and this is my hypothesis, maybe you can have some other ideas about it, but for me it's the center, it's the keel, it's the, that holds the whole wheel, is that dharma, because it cannot be defined. It is the force that holds, it's the force that puts it all together. And we can see in the cosmos, in the world, the force of gravity. We can see the rivers flow toward the oceans. We see the mountains stand. Every nature is doing their dharmas. They're doing what it must be done. We humans are the wobbly ones. We think our dharma is today something, and tomorrow we forget about it. The hence our teachers are giving all these stories, all these teachings. Okay, do this, do this, do this, because we can be solid. We can be rooted, not to control us, to guide us, to show us how to go about. So my arguments for reclaiming the term dharma for all Indic traditions. So the classification South Asian religions, which is generally used, is not adequate because it is a very regional category. Like Abrahamic religions, it talks about the coming from Abraham. Now, dharmic tradition is that it's rooted in dharma. Different ways, not saying that all have the same ideas, but they are rooted in dharma. They share religious spaces and various principles like karma, dharma, contemplation, reincarnation, etc. They defy Western religions' three general predilections, as specified by Willard Oxtoby. So I'll share with you the three things that dharma traditions don't have. First is emphasis on creeds, the doctrine. That's the only way you can do this. I believe in this thing. I believe in this, creeds and dogma. The second is sacred-secular dichotomy, that sacred is separate from secular. There is a sacred is secular, secular is sacred. Everything is divine. The one can only follow one religion at a time. So now when I study these, because I didn't have vocabulary for this. When Sushantji was talking, I said, you have such a good vocabulary, because you have been studying it for a long time. I didn't have any vocabulary. There were no books available. So finally I said, yes, I know what I'm practicing. It's not this. It's something that now you have to define it. And that's the whole job of a thinker or scholar. Then when I was using dharma, there was problems too. Some scholars told me that don't use the word dharma for Indian traditions because it's effort to subsume all different traditions into Hindu-ness or Sanatana dharma. So you're using dharma means varnashrama dharma, the caste dharma, the occupations and all this, so don't use. Some cite the Indian Constitution's Article 25, the reference to Hindus shall be construed as including a reference to person professing the Sikh, Jaina, or Buddhist religion, and the reference to Hindu religious institutions shall be construed accordingly. So they think that, well, they thought it would be all Hindus, so we must think all Hindus. But read before and after, what is it saying? How much freedom is given to each tradition, and each tradition is respected separately. Different knowledge systems, similar but different. So my goal was, as a student and a professor, to making the category clear. It's very important, even if you'll see this PowerPoint, I will try to make things clear. I have a beginning, middle, and end. Not just simply, because I want to lecture. That's not. I thought about, I'll think through it, think through the audience, and then we'll go from there. So dharma is as religion, so now I'm using as religion, is not circumscribed by any one set of theological concerns, diversity of beliefs. I can be Hindu and I can be Sikh, because it's not asking me to believe in one this way. It's telling me to practice but not believe. Then dharma as a category is not demarcated by any set doctrines, including set dogma. There's not a one way to be Hindu. There's not one way. There is a variety of ways. Dharma as knowledge system is inherently dialogical and dialectical, accommodating diversity through a long tradition of debate. Their debates are going on. If you read the Mahabharata, I've been reading Mahabharata from cover to cover, so many stories about debating dharma, what is right, what's wrong, why did we do this, could we have done something differently, maybe I did the wrong way, maybe I didn't do the dharma was adharma. So all kinds of things are going on. After the war, the Yudhishthira, Pandavas win the war. They should be saying, yay, happy, hooray, we won the war. Yudhishthira is saying, oh my God, greater dharma has been done to us, by us. Greater dharma has been done by us. Look at our cousins have died. He's questioning the dharma, he's questioning his actions. It's not just simply following it and then sorting out, then thinking about was it a dharma and dharma. Dharma is lived reality, frustrates the division between sacred and secular. So these are the points you will see that I have really tried to flesh it out. Dharma as a belief system encompasses a pluralistic tendencies, viewpoints, deities, rituals, texts, and their interpretations. And finally, dharma framework defies spiritual religious bifurcation. Do you know the term SBNR? SBNR? Anybody? Spiritual but not religious. This is a very cool thing in America now. I'm SBNR. Okay, what is that? I'm spiritual but not religious. Because they're trying to get away from institutionalized religion. So do I have that problem? Do Dharma tradition does not have that. I don't think they have a problem. I love this blog, spiritual but not religious, but actually Hindu. This is not my picture. This is it's 2018, because there's a lot of conversation is going on the idea of SBNR. So we know that dharma is subtle and mysterious, and at times can be confusing. Hence, dharma dilemma, dharma issue in the modern world. It's always been subtle, it's all been mysterious. So dharma is said to be mysterious, sukshma, and very subtle and difficult to know. Yet there are so many dharma shastras are trying to tell us how to behave. So many stories that tell us how to behave. Because it's not easy to know our dharma if there are conflicting dharmas. Like the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, Arjuna says, I don't know what to do. God is sitting, Lord Krishna is sitting there in his chariot. He says, I don't know what to do. Could you please help me what to do? Right? Right in the middle of the battlefield. Varnashrama dharma and modern day challenges. So then again, how do we understand dharma? Whenever you talk about the word dharma, people think it's varnashrama dharma. How do we think about dharma? I think we're missing the point. We are just talking about the varnashrama dharma. And there are various viewpoints on the same subject. Various ways people described what dharma is. It's very conflicting, very problematic at times. So dharma dilemma is like the parable of the blind man and the elephant. So we all are trying to see the one side of elephant, and we are not able to really gauge what is dharma is. So what does dharma mean to me? That's the question. And what ought I to do? It boils down to practice. You can say all these scriptures, whatever doing, they always are conflicting. You know, here you say about caste system, it says this, about Brahmana says this, and then Yudhishthira says Brahman is the one, not by birth, the one who by conduct. So who is a Brahman? So all kind of conflicting ideas. So I turn to ancient wisdom. So dharma is always taught through narratives, not as much laws, stories. In the Mahabharata, there's another story. Of the stories to story. Now story is nested in the other story. Let me tell you another story. Okay, the Bhishma, Shanti Parva is stories after story, through animal stories to human stories, to all trying to tell about what dharma is. Then two famous statements, dharma rakshati dharma, rakshati rakshata, the one who protects dharma is protected or preserved. What does that mean? And dharati iti dharma, that which sustains is dharma, or that which is worthy of sustaining is dharma. So what is dharma? How do we understand this idea of dharma? So different kinds of dharma, as we know, as I mentioned, varnashrama dharma based on birth, place, social structure, national dharma. We know that we have Shivaji Jayanti going on, all the celebration. Why? He did dharma for our nation, right? Dharma, he let himself. We see our leaders as heroes because they give up their own selfish needs and go something strong, better dharma. And then manav dharma, sadharan dharma, and the individual dharma. That becomes kind of confusing now, because if you tell our children you should do this, they say, no, I want to do this because I feel like doing this, because that's my dharma. So then becomes a conflict, right? So how do we know what is my dharma? What is my calling? So here I want to just bring us to the common sadharan dharma and the value of sadharan dharma, because the caste dharma, all this now doesn't need it, doesn't work in a way, except what I have my profession, I do to my best, do my dharma. But the sadharan dharma or manav dharma is very powerful the way the Indian sages have imagined. So these are the 10 principles or 10 elements of dharma. Dhrati, patience; Kshama, forgiveness; Dama, self-control; Asteya, non-stealing; Shocha, cleanliness; Indriya Nigraha, control of senses; Dhi, benevolent intellect; Satyam, truthfulness; Akrodha, non-anger; Vidya, spiritual knowledge. So these are the 10 elements of dharma. Didn't come out of any self-help book, does not come out of, it's the ancient sages imagined the human personality and how this human personality can be held together, not scattered into the people are depressed and this is happening and how much, if you follow these 10, think about these 10 elements, how my life can improve. Then someone say, oh, well, what do you mean about patience? We're not supposed to be patient. You know, we are the fast food culture. Give me now, give me right now. You know, we are going to grab a bite and run and, you know, drop by your house and, you know, it's all grab, go, run. What do you mean by patience? All 10 elements in my talks I show the modern research that shows that each one of the element has scientific, empirical research and shows that they are very valuable for our life. So I'm going to show you only 2 because we don't have time. So it's not just spiritual, social, physical, psychological benefits. And I think we're talking about psychological benefits. Right now we have a problem in our world. We have a crisis going on in the world. We have a deficit of morality. We don't know how to trust. We don't know how to talk. We don't know how to relate to each other. Especially in the West, when I see after COVID, it's been, I don't know about here, I haven't lived for too long, since I've arrived, but seems, you know, there's a lot of fragmentation is happening in the society. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So the practical benefits of patience, Dhrati. This is the article, 2016. It's a good things really do come to those who wait. Okay, they're not talking about Dhrati, right? They haven't read the Indian text, but here it is. It says, as virtues go, patience is the quiet one. It's a quiet virtue, but it's so important. And then it says, it's better mental health, better friends, helps in achieving our goals, linked to good health. This is an empirical, this is a study, they interviewed many people and came out with this solution. And now that we can say, oh, patience is really good because when such a study says, the traditions has been telling for so long. Parents used to say, Shanti, Shanti, sabar karo, shant, you know, you will get it, shant. You know, not just running, right now, I want right now. So that's one of I have all 10, but I'm going to show you only 2. So then Shama. Why do we do forgiveness? It's, again, really problem in the world. When people hold on to the grudges. And then there is a problem not to just yourself, to others. And not to just others, to yourself. And it says the forgiveness, health benefits of forgiveness. One of my students gave a presentation on forgiveness, nonviolence and its value. Lowered heart attack and heart disease risk, reduced blood pressure, steadier heart rate, stronger immune system, ease of sleep. So why not we do forgiveness? Our sages tell us so many stories about going forgive. Shama. Shama is the highest dharma. Ahimsa is the highest dharma. Satya is the highest dharma. Sometimes this highest dharma, sometimes that highest dharma. Because they knew at different times, different things are needed. So forgiveness is good for us and is healthy for our bodies and minds. Then there are, dharma is simplified at points. In the Mahabharata you read, it says, compassion is the highest dharma. Daya is the highest dharma. So the story of Jajali, he has this meditating, has a big dreadlocks on his hair, and the little birds make a nest on his head. And he sees these birds And then they lay eggs here, and they have babies on his head. And he says, if I move, the babies will die. So he just sits there like this, and he says, you know what, I'm going to be such a great yogi that I'll let them be, and not move at all. So then the once birds are, get hatched out, and then they fly away. So then he says, well, compassion is the highest, even to the birds. So those stories then simplify what dharma is. So then in my journey, then I began to see. And I think Professor Ghosh, I've been talking to for the last couple of days, has helped me to think through some more, which is beginning of my more thinking. So dharma is a complete knowledge system that guides to achieve moral, physical, legal, social, and spiritual harmony and flourishing. This I wrote last night after talking to him. So I see dharma as no wonder it does not have a one translation, because it's law, it is virtue, it is way, because it is a knowledge system. It's not a one thing. I've been trying to figure out a one term to translate it. No, that's wrong. It is a complete knowledge system that it is required for not just your own personal flourishing, it's the spiritual flourishing, human flourishing, and the planet's flourishing as well. To know dharma is to know the universe as an ethically charged, pay attention to this little prose here. To know dharma is to know the universe as an ethically charged karmic system of cause and effect. Every action that is undertaken, down to the most seemingly insignificant thought, has repercussions. We don't do anything which doesn't have effects, from harming an ant to saying unkind words to someone. To know dharma is to be aware of this characteristic, quality of reality and one's place in the universe, in relation to other individuals and beings, and to comport oneself accordingly. So this is in my introduction. So it's a system that you have to see everything is interconnected. We talk about string theory, we talk about how the DNA is connected, how now their studies show that if our parents were traumatized, a child will also have post-traumatic syndromes, PTSD. If our parents were, or grandparents even, through DNA we pass that trauma. This is the new research shows. So hence is how important it is to live a dharmic life. What we do, our grandparents did, our great-grandparents did, we are reaping it. So we are making a new world as we speak, not just for ourselves, for our future generations as well. So the order is very tall, is you have to be really, really careful. Promise of dharma for our future. And so it's integrity. Dharma offers soft skills along with duty and service-based ethic. So soft skills are, how do I treat the other? In a way, in the department meeting, when people are getting charged, how do I intervene in a way that it is compassionate, kind, and bringing it together, holding it dharmic way? So it's a soft skills along with duty and service-based ethic. I haven't seen those kind of terms when we go to leadership academies. Integrity, very important. Veracity, truth, so important in life, right? When I am true, people will feel it. It's not that we can fake it. People will see. That the thing about our lives are that we are very transparent in a very energetic way. And committed to service to society, commitment to Sarvodaya. So I created this Gandhi Center, and there was great donors funded this center. I called it Inner Peace and Sarvodaya. Inner peace is so important. We cannot have outer peace unless we have inner peace. And uplift of all, not all human beings, all beings, all planet, all plants, everything is alive. And commitment to working toward sustainable ecosystems. And again, sustaining, right? Dharma sustains, dharma upholds. So these are the ideas of dharmic leadership that are very, very important that one should, and this is like Indra's net. It's not one or the other. It is all interconnected. The jewels are interconnected. That through that, that one is able to really sustain and hold. Inner self, we won't say, oh, I am so stressed out right now because I have to do this. No, because so grounded, you just do it. Oh, I'm freaking out because I have a presentation. No, because you have such a control of your senses. That's dharmic leadership. And I just began to understand this. Yeah, I've been teaching academically. After talking with people like Professor Ghosh, I began to try to think about this. So when we see Chhatrapati Shivaji, it's a dharmic model of leadership, right? The nation is formed by its people, and the people are formed by their character, right? The character forms us, not as much riches form us. And then there are many examples of dharma leadership role models. Swami Vivekananda, and many women's names are not mentioned in our world. Our history, I'm working on the history of women heroines who are bringing we talk about Gandhi's movement. Women's contribution was so strong. They did so much work, and there are not many books or not many articles even them. So I'm trying to uplift the women's voices as well. And this story of Yudhishthira. When Yudhishthira goes to, asked by Indra to go to heaven in his body, and dog goes with him, as you know the story. And Indra says, no, you can't take the dog with you. I was looking at the dog outside here, so I was thinking about Yudhishthira. And he says, no, I can't go to heaven without the dog. And he said, you're kidding me? Dogs don't go to heaven. And he said, then I don't go to heaven because I want to take this living creature who has attached to me. And then dog is dharma, and then he reveals himself. What does it tell you, the story? That all living creatures have responsibility toward all. Those are the role models of our dharmic leadership. And this 1930, this Time magazine cover where Gandhi was for Salt March. Was it Gandhi's Salt March? Yes, he was leading, but there were thousands of people made the Salt March. We don't even know those people's name. We never meet them. We never know in history. So it's a collective movement. Was covered in 160 countries. There were no PR, no social media. There were no putting out there, or Howard is speaking, let's please join it. People just showed up without any PR. What was that truth? That was dharma, going for dharma. Even the salt, what is salt? You just go, boil water and you can make salt. But he was standing up for dharma of truth and nonviolence, and the world acknowledged it. And these are the dharmic leadership role models. So the dharma in the valley, so we have two initiatives in the Central Valley, Jain and Hindu dharma, and the Gandhi Center, Inner Peace and Sarvodaya. So if you see that symbol that I created, it took me a long time to create that symbol. So if you think about, it's like a chakra, and then there's a flame in the middle, and I explained that. And the flame is of our efforts, our force, our light that we have to shine. And it's always going up. And the wheel has to be always in motion to serve others, to help others, not be static, always changing for the uplift of all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Howard. We'd open the floor up for some questions, comments, thoughts, ideas that you'd like to share. And if not, she has questions for you, right?
Our students, were you listening? Sometimes we are present, but we are not present. Right? We think we are present, but we are somewhere else. But the good news about speaking is that we can't be anywhere else. I have to be here. I'll be in trouble. So questions, comments, suggestions? Come on, guys. Yes. After that, students, please, one of them will speak. Yes.
Very nice lecture you have given, Professor Harvard. Can you give some examples of dharmo rakshati rakshata?
So let's take an example, dharmo rakshati rakshata. Um, Dharma, one of all the 10 elements of dharma. So let's say truth. If I speak untruth about something, what happens when I speak untruth? I'm trying to hide myself that I hope you don't find out. I said something wrong about you to somebody, to your neighbor. I said, don't tell him, but I won't tell you. But it was wrong, it was not truthful. And I'm scared now that how about your friend tells you? And I said, please don't tell. It's confidential between you and me, and don't tell him, okay? Please. And he goes, well, Howard told me not to tell, but I'm going to share with you something, but please don't mind it and don't tell her. Now, even if he may not tell me, but his behavior will change toward me, right? Because I lied about you to him, right? I was not protected. Now I'm not protected for my integrity. My integrity I compromised it. If I kept my dharma of truth and not did this, not make it complicated, don't tell him and don't, it happens all the time. That's what I'm telling you. This example happens a lot. Or even the truth, something about truth about you. And should I share with him, but I did. And say, please don't tell him. That's also wrong. Because it's violent. In my opinion, anything which is harmful to someone is violent. So I'm doing a hinsa. So I think that then if I am on the side of integrity or the truth, I will walk with fearlessness. I don't care if he tells or not. I didn't do anything wrong. And if it comes to it, I'll confront. Say, hey, look, I didn't do it. So please watch out. This is the one example of truth. Any criminal, when they do any wrong thing, stealing, lying, they are always hiding. You have to speak 10 more wrongs to make one right, one to hide one thing. So you're not rakshati, you're not protected. But when you're on the side of right, when 1922, Gandhi was defended himself in the prison, and he says to the judge, he says, this is I did, please give me the highest sentence. That kind of fearlessness, give it to me, whatever you want, I will do this. That comes from dharma, not from anyone else. And I see it every single day in my life living in America. Because there's so many times to compromise dharma. There's so many ways that we can go away from the path. And I used to talk to my mother, and it's like walking on the razor's edge in life. When there's so many temptations, so much world is going on, no one is seeing it, but your witness is dharma. And how do you live? And I think there's some power happens when we are on the side of right. And that's why hence we don't have politicians a lot of time who are not on the side of right.
So what photo you had shown, Yudhishthira with the dog. So the story continues, and then he goes to Swarga and he finds Duryodhana and all Kauravas in the Swarga, and Pandavas are in the Narakloka.
Yes.
So how is it related to this Dharmo Rakshati Rakshata?
That shows you. So I don't know whether students in the back you heard that it shows you no one is perfect. They were there for a short time. They were there in the Narak for a short time. And that's also taking your hubris out of it. Oh, I am so good. He still has arrogance at that time. Oh, my brothers did they not do anything wrong? Of course they did a lot of wrong, right? They were doing things they were not dharmic, even though they were doing on the name of dharma. So that's what I read this, let me see if I can go back. This one. The universe as a ethically charged karmic systems of cause and effect. It is not judging your Pandava or your Kaurava. It is blind. It's just doing, or the eyes of wisdom, I would say. It's just doing what it's supposed to do. And that's what I think end of the Mahabharata is showing you that lesson, that we all are fallible. We all do wrong things. Being human is failing. Being human is messing up. And look at how Lord Krishna's death comes, his passing. So I think that's the beauty of Dharma tradition is, that doesn't do partiality, does not do partiality. It just does its thing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Professor Howard.
Thank you.
Just a reflection or a question between sometimes the tension between spirituality or spiritualism and materialism. For instance, now in front of this enormous growth, for instance, in India, the development, can be that like a threat to Dharma. I was remembering when the Berlin fall in 1989, then the URSS also collapsed, and then at the late Pope John Paul II said, no, the materialism has ended, the Marxist materialism. Now there is the threat of a materialism, of consumerism, etc., etc. No? So I was just wondering, how do you see the situation, this tension between materialism and spiritualism? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. What's your name, please?
Mariano.
Mariano, and
Iturbe.
you're from Germany?
Sorry?
You're traveling from?
No, I live here.
You live here?
I'm working
Okay,
here.
awesome. I will talk to you afterwards too.
Okay.
That's a great question. What is the spirituality and materialism? I think the having wealth and prosperity is not bad. But what bad is how do you have it, what the means you use to have the wealth, and what do you do with that. So some people may be very skillful in earning money, or luck, one can say, or destiny, or many reasons, right? Gandhi had an answer for that. And he had a lot of patrons were very wealthy people. And he told them to live like trustees. Don't think, the Vaishnavi said, all is God's, all is divine's. Enjoy with giving up and detachment. You give up, you live in a dharmic way. So all the stories that I was sharing, nobody was poor. No one was not having material wealth. If you have material wealth, what do you do with that? How do you have it, and what do you do with that? And that's the problem in today's world, right? That's why, hence, I see the dharmic leadership, we just can really follow it. If we can really bring in life, it can help to be stewards of the environment, not doing things. I mean, there's so many new evidence comes out why Boeing Max was crashing, and why didn't we do anything? Because of greed, because we were scared that why we will have to stop selling, and all this will be so bad for the company. So I think the point is that how do we earn it? How do we treat the people who are helping earn it? You can never earn alone wealth. And what do we do with that? If it can be used for service, so then again I see artha. So there are 4 principles in Hindu system: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. The artha it really means, some people call it money. Artha means for the sake of. Money is not, if I have $100 in my pocket and I'm very hungry, and if I didn't buy food, money is no good. And if I have $100 in my pocket, enough to feed my person next door who is very hungry too, then the money is worth. Otherwise, sitting there, $100 bill is nothing. So I think it is for the sake of. And that's the dharma principle. Dharma must guide. And there are many, many examples of. I mean, you're absolutely right. We are drawing the resources of the world, right? Or the planet. So I think it's the way we have to really think about how to go about it. And the greed is not dharmic. So great question. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Yes. And after that, students, please. No question is a bad question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. It was an excellent talk. Uh, in your forgiveness slide, you mentioned some clinical benefits, health benefits. Forgiveness is abstract level concept. So, is there any clinically proven? And then you mentioned these observations after forgiveness, or on what basis you given these observations?
So there is a lot of researches on forgiveness. I mean, even the people who are their child was murdered, and this Christian woman said, "I forgave the murderer, and I can sleep. I feel so liberated." The word is used always, liberated. And it's not forgiveness, not is for others, it's for us. Because we sleep with that pain, sleep with that. If we understand what Gandhi said, the forgiveness, those who forgive are strong. It's not a quality of weak people. So it's not weakness. It comes from strength, the deep strength of that somebody messed up, somebody made a mistake, someone did. And there's a lot more. Some people say, why should I forgive and forget? Why should I do it? And that's whatever people make choices is their own choice. But I have experimented on these things a little bit in my life, and I think I can say that it's liberating. The term is liberating. All this dharmic way, the dharma principles are, it just makes you stronger and stand tall and say, and is for us, not for anyone else.
Thank you, ma'am. And so another one that there are many students are here from various backgrounds, the Hindu studies, Sanskrit, and ancient Indian history. So can you light on what is dharayati dharma? So what is the dharana and dharayati? So can you elaborate on this for our student?
So dharayati is a verb, right? The one we hold. So it comes from the root word, both of them, dhra, to hold and support. The what we support is dharma. So we are doing the support. Dharma is not acting on me. I have to act on it. So doesn't happen automatically that it will protect me. It's a constant series of actions. It's a constant series of efforts. And no one is going to be perfect, ever. So that's a very important to think about, that we are human beings. We will fall, we will do wrong things, we will do things that we're not so proud of, but how we can get up and understand and stop that cycle. It's for own sake. It's not for anyone else's sake. It's really, and my sake will be the community, the friends, the family, whoever we are contact with. And it is we all know it's not the Hindu wisdom, it's the world's wisdom. When Jesus said to please forgive those who are, they don't know what they're doing. He was forgiving when he was on the cross. So the models are in all different traditions. But the way the dharma, sadharana dharma has lined up, all 10 elements, that's very unique and very interesting, I find. That bringing it all together, when we're talking about knowledge system, that creating this various psychological, cognitive, mental, physical, social, spiritual, those elements, bringing it together in a one sort of a whole, that's kind of very unique. Some have forgiveness, some ideas have this, some have this, but putting it all together, I wouldn't have thought about all these if I were to write something. It would be kind of hard to come up with all the principles that can really, dharayati dharma will make me wobbly. I call it wobbly. We are wobbly, we are moving, we are shaky when we are doing those, transgressing those principles. And those are not kind of static. Like truth is sometime you have to say, in the Mahabharata, a lie in order to protect somebody's life. So it's not static. You always tell truth, not Kantian way of telling truth. It's not that principle, you always speak truth. It's it's a situational. When somebody's life is being saved, so it's okay, so it's again, then you read the teachings, the stories, and it's kind of hard. It's not like a pill, or it's not like a principle I can give, do this. It's constant learning, constant going through, constant process. It is a verb. That's why it's a dharati. It's a verb. It's not a noun, which is static. It's constant in action. It's constant doing. Even materialism, it's not one thing somebody says, oh, I'm not going to be materialistic. You know, it's just it's a system. We're part of a system. How we can do small steps to bring that awareness to treat others right, treat our workforce right, our environment right. You know, those kind of things is a process. You're welcome. Yes.
Ma'am, the session was quite amazing by you. The session you give. I have a question. According to you, what is the single major difference between the religion and the spirituality?
According to me?
Yes, according to you.
So these are, the terms themselves are not initiated from the dharmic principles, the religion and spirituality. So when I see the religion, when somebody says, I am spiritual but not religious, SPNR, everybody knows in America, no, SPNR. Like, okay, what is that creature is? Meaning that I don't need to go to church, I don't need to follow a religious leader, I don't need to follow a book. I will do mindfulness, I'll do yoga, I will do, you know, connecting with others, or the nature can be my divine. So I won't have to do religious mandates. I don't have to do that. I can be Buddhist. Most of the spiritual but not religious folks are generally they're doing Buddhist meditation, they will do nature worship, they will do more environmental ethic. They said, you know what, this God business, one God, you know, who is sitting on the heaven and dictating us, you know, I don't believe in it. Religions have done more bad than good. That their argument is that on the name of religion, many wars have been fought, many people have been killed on the name of religion, on name of many atrocities, many social harms have been done to people. So they say, well, I don't have nothing to do with religion. So some say you throw baby with the bathwater, because religions they're also spiritual systems, in a way that spirituality is, but they have nothing to do with, I'll call it organized religion. Then they don't call it themselves, I'm a Christian, I'm a Hindu, they want to call themselves they don't want to align themselves with any religion, because they see the religions have caused harm at many times wars based on the name of religion. They use religion as, you know, hurting women's cause, you know, gender issues, and they just want to reject that. They want to accept the meditation, they want to accept the connectedness, they want to accept the human growth and nature. So that's you know, it's a new thing. It's a lot of people are talking about that, and now books are coming out, and spiritual but not religious, what that mean. I hope that helps, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Good question.
Ma'am, the session was really amazing, but there is a common problem I have facing along. So, ma'am, right now we are discussing about the religion and the spirituality. When we consider religion, there are various aspects to purify that philosophy and other things from Hindu perspective, from Buddhist perspective. But when we need to study the spirituality or the moral teachings conclusively, okay, so what will be the methodology? That what is dharma and what is adharma? Because one's dharma is another person's adharma. So how will we conclude spiritually that what is dharma and what is the adharma?
That which sustains is dharma. That which does not sustain is adharma. Sustaining, when you're harming someone and say, oh, I'm doing my duty to harm, you know, just my duty. It can't be. So there are, I think about a lot, that's your question. What is dharma? And what is, so you have to really boil down to the essence of dharma. It does not harm, at least doesn't have an intention of harming. It doesn't have intention of harming. Doesn't have intention of lying. So all the things, anger, all these. So whatever does not feel right, does not feel good, does not feel, we may delude ourselves. Oh, it's great to do this and great to, you know, this idea of overpowering others and all. But deep inside, that does not sustain us. So I think it is a hard question, right? How do we know? But easy question also, but we do know. Why all the world's wisdom traditions come to the same golden rule? Do not do to others what you want not done to you. Why? You 12 different languages, 15 different languages. Why? That's the golden rule, and that is the essence of dharma. Don't do to others that doesn't feel good to you. As simple, as clear. How many times we do that? And also, how do you feel inside when we do? Let it be anger, let it be this. We are harming ourselves. See yourself as a person as well too, not just the other person. Don't do to others. Your heart is also the other. Don't harm yourself also by doing wrong things. So I think it can be crystallized and simplified. We don't need to make it hard, but we can make it hard if we want to, because it is so simple and so hard at the same time. All good things are so simple and so hard. But when we crystallize them, we begin to see the simplicity and beauty. That's the word our ancient wisdom taught, Satyam Shivam Sundaram. That which is right is beautiful, truthful, and kind, well-being to all and to yourself too. So those three principles, Satyam, Shivam, is beauty, is beautiful. It doesn't have to be ugly, it's beautiful and truthful and kind and good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. You guys asking difficult questions here. I knew my audience will be difficult. You you be the guide.
Hello,
My
ma'am.
dharma keeper. Yes, sir.
So I'm a PhD student with the Institute of Dharma Studies. You mentioned Gandhi in your talk. See, in today's day and age, 21st century, Gandhi is looked upon as a weak character in the national narrative. I mean, incorrectly, but that's at least especially in right-wing scholarship. And by association, his ideas on dharma also then looked upon as weak. So your comments or your thoughts on that?
Do you have an hour? Let's sit down, have a tea, and we'll talk. This is a can of worms, so I'd rather talk carefully. Who is there to say who is weak without understanding the whole history, the person? I can say anything I want. It's a free world, right? The talking, say free speech. People can say whatever they want. I would say that my studies show that the strength of dharma is visible in his life. He's not perfect. He has a lot of issues. He's not a perfect human being. But one human being in history that I have studied who really tried to follow dharma, who made a lot of effort. And the weak, if you think the nonviolence is weak, if you think being fair is weak, or all those things, and people have right to say. And the problem is that what I see about Gandhi narrative also, that he tries to combine politics and spirituality. And that becomes difficult. And when you combine both, difficult at the one hand, on the other hand shows that his ideal was dharma. How you can do that we fail generally, because it's hard to do dharmic life. And that's the challenge I have as a student of Indian religion, student of Gandhi. How do we do this? I mean, look at after the Mahabharata war, Yudhishthira is weeping, and he doesn't want to rule the kingdom. He's not weak. They won the war. They're not pacifists. They're not nonviolent. But he's weeping. He's depressed. He wants to kill himself. The word is he wants to commit suicide. Yudhishthira, the Dharma king. Why? Was he weak? The family was weak. Some scholars will say he was weak. But he's showing that it's either way, as a leader, political leader, you can never win in a way. You are always, whatever decisions you'll make, somebody will hate you. Somebody will not like you. and especially the people who follow the path of dharma. Because the dharma, what they say is, dharma is sukshma, subtle, and dharma is walking on the edge of the sword. It's not easy. We can say I'm following dharma, but it's difficult to follow the right way. And he's one of those historical figure who tries to follow dharma. See, watch my language. I didn't say he followed dharma. I didn't say that. I'm very careful. There's one thing the Western academia, the methodologists taught, you don't make essentialized claims. He tried to follow. Did he make mistakes? Probably many, many, many. Was he perfect? Probably not. But calling him weak or all this, it just doesn't do justice to our way of moving forward. Way of what we have, what history teaches us some things, we learn from it, and we move forward. We take our leaders, we look at how much they sacrificed, how much they worked day in and day out. He dedicated his sacrificed his family, his whole personal, desires. Yes, made mistakes. I can call many things, but I won't call it weak. The weakness is the opposite of what Gandhi stood for. There can be many other debates you can do, but the weakness, with my scholarship for last 20 years, I can talk to people and show the other side. So thank you for that good question. Difficult question.
Question.
Questions are getting harder and harder as the time
Hello.
is going.
Thank you for the presentation. My question is after dharma or dhamma or adharma, then we go ahead for sadhamma. So how do we see sadhamma in the aspect of spirituality and religion in today's perspective? We are more into aligned with dharma and adharma. It's good or bad. And what is sadhamma now? The third aspect which is coming up in today's context. So how do we see spirituality and religion in sadhamma?
What is sadharma? I'm not understanding.
Saddam is mostly a word taken from the Buddhist perspective and from the Buddhist doctrine.
Dhamma.
Dhamma, dharma, adharma, and sadharma.
The noble path?
Yeah.
Is that you're talking about?
Yes, the Eightfold Path, you can say.
But that's not in the literature. That's not in the I mean, we can say sat dharma. We can do any hyperboles. I mean, dharma is always sat, I think.
The absolute truth, which cannot be rigid or cannot be diluted. As we say this is dharma of a particular person,
Yeah.
or religion or activity, and if it is not followed, that is adharma.
Yes.
But interconnected between two line.
Uh-huh.
So how do we see that thing?
I don't
Through
know.
spirituality.
Just experience it by living a good life, by dharmic life. I think it's not an abstract exercise. So sadharma has to be experienced. That absolute truth, either you have it and you're ready to sacrifice yourself, ready to give up your life for the sadharma, if I understand. I haven't really thought about the idea of the way you're describing, but we can talk about later.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot to everyone here. And I wanted to have a big round of applause for Professor Howard. We have a gift for her. We have a gift for you. So if I can, both of you can kindly come up, and Professor Pallavi and
Is that
Professor
dharmic to
Anand
take a
get
gift?
there. Yeah, very much. I think so. Yeah.
I like that. Then I can. Gifts, I don't know.
No, I'm hosting. Come to the center of the stage. So this is handwoven by our students, right? Yeah. नहीं नहीं आप लीजिए.
This is also Varli painting scroll. Yeah, this is also Varli painting scroll done by our students.
So thanks a lot once again, and we will conclude this program tonight. If you want to get in touch with her, look her up on her faculty profile at University of California, Fresno. Drop an email, don't spam her. Thank you very much.
Prasadam. Make it prasadam.